Hi, welcome to the Drama-Free Living Podcast. Listen, have you ever been in this situation where it's hard to get team members to buy in? You have to have these hard conversations and you just don't feel like people are with you? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, really how to create this sense of loyalty where people are with you and they're just not on the team, but they're on your team. And, Lisa, I was thinking about this idea of loyalty. It's kind of the Holy Grail, right? It's like loyalty is not something I can command from you.
No.
Right? It's like I can command. If we're paying you, I can. I'm buying your time. I'm buying your energy. Right? I can command some of those things, but I can't command your heart. Right? I can't. And it's almost like this idea is that loyalty is not something I demand from you, but it's a gift that you give me.
And I have to deem you as a worthy person to give it to.
Yeah.
So if you don't present yourself as a worthy person, if I don't think that you are going to take my loyalty and respect it, I am certainly not going to give it to you.
Yeah. And I think I think I've just learned to like really look at it as a gift, Lisa, because we've had team members with us for the long haul, right? We've had and we've had other team members that, they come in and out and that's okay. Right. And at times, truth be told, I probably wasn't really ready to handle that type of leadership level. Right. There's a piece of that. But I always look at some of these things as like, gosh, it's such a tremendous gift.
Right.
It's such a blessing, and it's not something that I can demand or that we can command or demand. And so we want you to think about that because it really is sort of that holy grail that leaders and managers are looking for. And here's the thing. A lot of times people that step into like managing roles, like, you didn't hire these people to begin with. So you sort of inherited this team.
Right.
Right. It's like, hey, well, I didn't even hire you. Right. I just inherited these people.
And now I'm stuck with you.
Now I'm stuck with you. Right. And HR says I can't fire you. And like all of these things that managers have to deal with. And it literally is why we created Leadership 101. It is the premier management coaching program that happens every single month. It's a digital Zoom call that you get together with other managers and
supervisors, leaders that are responsible for teams.
Right. And you get to talk about some of these issues. So this interactive coaching and this loyalty idea is something that we cover. And so we thought it'd be fun just to take a minute. So if you're interested at all, sparks any kind of curiosity, just click the link in the show notes or at the bottom of the YouTube channel and it'll take you to the page and you can get some more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So mistakes that managers make. Okay, so you have been a star employee. You've been a star person on your team. Absolutely fabulous. You have done such a above and beyond job that
we're going to make you the manager.
We're going to make you the manager because you have done so well and we're going to reward you. We're going to give you a bonus. We're going to give you a raise. We're going to increase your responsibility. And you're like, yes, I've been finally recognized for my work. So you have been fantastic. You have been excellent at what you are skilled at and what you do. But then all of a sudden you get to manage people, which is a completely different skill set than this other skill that you have been paid and promoted so well for.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make you a great manager. That doesn't make you a great leader of people. That just makes you excellent at what you're an expert in.
Yeah. Well, Lisa, it's like, what got you out of Egypt doesn't take you to the promised land.
Right.
Right. And how many times like, hey, this got me out of Egypt and I'm here and now I'm going to, I need some different skills. Right. And a classic example that we see in a lot of organizations, right, is you have a star salesperson.
Yeah.
Right. Sales manager.
They know how to do it. Let's let them teach everyone.
Right. So, right. But managing salespeople is different than selling. It's a completely different skill set. And I think leaders have to be very careful that you don't promote people to incompetence. Mm-hmm. And then the problem is you make them a sales manager, okay, and that happens, and then they're not performing, but then you have no place on the sales team anymore for them.
Right.
And
so
this is reality.
Some excellent advice that I had gotten when our kids were younger.
Yeah.
We lived in Germany at the time, and I wanted my kids to learn how to swim. And I wasn't sure how to go about finding someone that could teach them how to swim because knowing how to swim is kind of important when you're around a lot of water. It's just a safety thing, right? And so there was a friend of mine who happened to swim competitively previously, and she told me, she said, do not look for someone that's an incredible swimmer, that is a really great swimmer, and that knows all the strokes. Do not look for someone to teach your kids how to swim. Look for a really good teacher that knows how to swim. Because you can know how to swim or you can know how to teach and be a good swimmer. Just because you know how to swim doesn't mean you can teach them. That you're a good teacher. And so sometimes we promote because they're a really good swimmer. They are excellent and they have won all of these things. But when it comes down to it, do they know how to teach it? If they don't know how to teach it, then maybe give that really great swimmer extra bonuses and extra raises, but don't promote them to manager. Because if they don't know how to manage, if they don't know how to teach, then you're just going to cause frustration for you and for them. And then they're going to stop performing.
Well, so it's this idea is that, these managers coaching skills is why we created Leadership 101 for that right there.
Right.
Right. Is like, what are these core skills? I'm great at my job and now I've been promoted and it's a whole different skill set. And we understand the pain that you go through. Like this is a real pain. And many times organizations, they don't have the structure. So maybe you're leading teams of managers. Well, this is a great resource for you as a leader to send your managers through. And we're going to give them these practical skills. And one is right now what we're going to talk about is how to create loyalty. So really some mistakes that they make is really like setting some clear expectations.
Right.
Right. Because it's kind of vague. And
you can set expectations for yourself and you have your own sales goals, but now you have to set clear expectations for your team.
Well, and it's we have a tool called the Intention Clarifier that you actually go through in the training, but it really answers the 7 core questions. And they're really just 7 core questions that you need to answer that just makes it clear. And Lisa, what's interesting is whenever I work through the Intention Clarifier and have a conversation with a team member, things go really well.
Yeah.
They do. But whenever I'm just so busy and so things are moving so fast and I just sort of forget to do it, things go sideways. And really they go sideways because I haven't set the clear expectation in the front end. Right. And then it gets even worse because then I'm mad at team members and like I'm the one who really created this problem. And they go, oh, I thought you meant this. Well, I have a responsibility, right? It's not just on you, what you heard. It's like, I got a responsibility too.
Yeah.
So really setting these clear expectations. The second one
is being able to delegate effectively. So, when you're doing your job or when your team person has been doing their job, they've been excellent, absolutely excellent at their position. Now you're a manager. Or now they are a manager and they have to delegate. They've got to be able to delegate. You give them these responsibilities and you're like, okay, you need to implement this. Well, in order to do that, you have to be able to delegate. And so if you don't have skills for effective delegating, you will either do one of two things. You will either dump and just say, here you go, and say, figure it out, because that's what you would do. That's what made you so good at your position. Or you will micromanage. You'll say, here you go. Okay, now do it this way and then do it this way. And then this is step 3 and step 4. Nobody wants it just dumped on and been like, here, figure it out. I don't know. Or nobody wants to have someone hovering over their shoulder. We're adults here and I'm a professional and let me be a professional. So when you learn just these simple tips and tricks to delegate and to walk alongside and to be there to champion your team, everyone succeeds.
Yeah, Lisa. So here's a couple of, like maybe just a hack, right? Because in my mind, I think this is a communication issue.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not a trust issue. And I think that's the key thing that people have to understand is that people, oh, you don't trust me. No, it's a communication issue. And I think the key hack is set up a rhythm of feedback, which means like, what does the reporting back need to look like so that you as a manager have a sense of certainty and safety? Because here's the big challenge with really being a manager is, especially if you're in the middle of the organization, right? So you're managing, so you have these pressures from on top, right? And you have the pressures from people that you're managing and you're like monkey in the middle. And then there's a problem with your team and senior leaders don't go down to your team. Guess where they go? They go to the manager.
Yeah.
And I know managers will want to time say, well, these guys aren't doing this.
And they're not even guys I chose. I'm stuck with them.
Right. And then you sort of get into that blame, right? And then you feel like there's nothing you can do. And this is really like what we're trying to go after here. Okay. So this whole idea of like creating a rhythm of checks, like check-ins. And it looks different for different areas. And
when you create a rhythm for check-ins, it closes the open loops in your head because oftentimes micromanagers micromanage because they have all of these open loops in their head and they want to know what's going on now. And when you create a system and a rhythm for check-ins and a reporting, whether it's a a document that you can just go in and you can see where they're at, or, whatever CRM, whatever it is that you choose, but it's a way for clear, open communication. So everyone knows where we're at, what's going on, and where we need to go.
Yeah. Well, and it's this idea. Now, here's sort of the caveat, right? Depending on the season of your business, what's important, what's not as important, there's different rhythms and frequencies of rhythms, and they're not always the same, Lisa. So, for example, we were having some sales issues, like I think it was a couple years ago, and we just started doing daily check-ins.
Yeah.
Right. It was right. And that daily, but it didn't happen forever.
And it didn't have to happen.
Right. But it was a season where, hey, we need to really focus on this. So you got to look out at your organization. It's different. So we're not telling you the standard, the frequency, because it looks different by industry and organizations,
and it looks different by season.
Yeah. And so we want you to think about what are the complexities, what are the frictions, and how frequently does the communication need to be.
And along that, another mistake managers make is failing to listen, neglecting to listen. And that's kind of also part of this check-in process, or this process of reporting, is being able to understand what season we're in our business, in our industry, in our culture, and even in the individual's life. So, we've got a sales team, and there have been some different tragedies that have even happened on different team members in their families' lives recently.
Yeah.
And we've just had to know, we've been open to communicate, hey, this and this just happened in my family, and this is really tragic, and I am not going to be able to function at 100%. I am going to function at 20%, and being able to communicate with the team and say, will you be able to carry my slack? And when we've got that listening, open communication, that trust that we're communicating, no, this is not going to be forever. And no, I'm not being lazy. And no, I am not letting down on my job. It's just life is happening to me right now. And do you have my back?
Well, and it's also, Lisa, really this whole idea of listening is you want to listen for what's not being said.
Yes.
Right. Which is actually many times that's more important than what is actually being said. And I know you're tremendous at this, and it's really a gift that I'm learning to get better at, is you always paraphrase, hey, what I heard you say was, right.
And was that right? Is that what you meant?
Yeah. Yeah. Because how many times do I don't really hear it. Right. And then I'm making a decision, or and I'm like, well, I didn't really listen. And so just really getting confirmation is super helpful, right? Because then it eliminates a lot of the assumptions.
Right.
Right. And so overlooking team members' and achievements.
Learn the art of celebration.
Yeah.
Managers learn the art of celebration. Team leads learn the art of celebration. This is something that we've had to work on because you are super future focused, and I'm pretty future focused. I'm like, okay,
right.
Or if you're super task oriented, being able to stop for a minute and just really celebrate. I was on a Zoom meeting with our team the other day, and one of our team members, there's been just this irritation that's been going on, and it's been going on for a little bit, and it had to do with Amazon and reviews and things like that we've just been trying to wrestle with this and figure this out. And it's been a little bit out of our hands on just how we can make this work and how we can solve this. And our team member, she said, okay, I just need to say, we finally figured this out. We got this solved, and this just feels like a win. And it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not huge, but this has been a little irritant. And we had to take a minute, and we had to stop, and we all celebrated. Yeah. And then I was like, because it's a different feel when you're on Zoom or Teams than if you're in person. Just the body language, it's a lot easier to celebrate a win when you're face to face, because you can see the full body movement. When you're on video, you've got pretty much from, like chest up, and you can't hear and see the tone as much. And I was just like, you know what? I am just basking in the confetti that is falling from my ceiling right now at this.
That's a great word picture. You said that?
I said that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I said that. Because I was thinking, what can I say? What can I do to just even celebrate a little bit more? Because there's only so much that you can see and feel from chest up.
That's interesting.
If it's a headshot, there's only so much. And I was just, trying to come up with a word picture of just celebration. Because I thought, if we were here together face to face, I would pop the champagne and I would shoot the confetti off. And I was like, you know what? I'm just enjoying the confetti that's falling. And just because when we don't feel celebrated, then what's the point? I mean, why go the extra mile if I don't feel celebrated?
Well, you think about this, Lisa. Do you go where you're tolerated or where you're celebrated? People always go where they're celebrated, right? And whatever you don't celebrate eventually leaves your life.
Right. Because if I'm asked to go the extra mile, if I'm asked to maybe spend a little bit of my personal time doing something with work or doing something if I'm asked to maybe step in for somebody else that's on my team because they've had a death in the family, and I'm not celebrated for it, I'll do it because I'm a good person, but it's not going to motivate me. I just do it out of the goodness of my heart. But after a while, that's going to drain, and my my pocket change is going to go down, and I'm just not going to have as much with you.
Yeah, and so we're talking about creating loyalty, right? And if you learn to celebrate people and celebrate their wins, right, it puts a bond between you, and that's what you're looking for people to bond to you.
Yeah.
Right. And really have that. And it's a gift. It's like you can't demand it. Right. These are the things that you have to do to really earn that loyalty.
Yeah.
And then once it's given, it's a tremendous resource. And it's a precious gift. That's the way that I look at it. At least it's a precious gift that people give you and you steward that gift. Right. Because you ever take advantage of that gift, right? It's leaving. Right.
Yeah.
And so also, think about this, like avoiding some of these accountability conversations. Because I think about some of the team members that have been with us for a while. We've had some really hard conversations. And in one particular team, I remember that they even celebrated that conversation. They're like, "Hey, you always push me to do right." And it's almost this idea. I have accountability conversations with people because I believe in them, not because I don't believe in them. Right? I believe in your ability. Right. And sometimes people have to borrow your confidence.
Oftentimes,
right? Well, I'm particular one particular team member. I'm like, you can do this. Here's how you do this. I know it's risky and might not work. It could crash and burn.
It feels uncomfortable.
But I just need you to step in and do it. And they did it. And do you remember? It was a particular. We just had them do the training, and they called us like after the event, and they were like on fire.
Yeah.
Right. Because they never thought they could ever step in.
Never thought they could ever do that.
Right. Never thought they could
have that capability.
Right. And they were never hired for that. It's just like a gift that we saw in them as they were on the team, and we're saying, hey, you can take this gift and you can do this with the gift. And now they're a totally different person. And we hired them for one role, but it really happens because we have these accountability conversations. Yeah. I mean, I just think how many hard conversations. And so it's this idea that you have to care enough to confront.
I don't think I like the term hard conversations.
What do you want to use? Complex conversations?
Yeah. I'm not sure because hard conversations to me just feel
negative.
It does not energize me when I say, hey, we need to have a hard conversation.
Clarifying conversation?
Clarifying is a much better word.
Okay, let's
having a clarifying conversation. Because if you say, hey, we need to have a hard conversation here, what do you do immediately? You're going to put your defenses up.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what did I do and what's going to happen and am I getting in trouble here? And so, but if I say, hey, can I just clarify something with you? Then it's like, oh yeah, sure. You actually value my opinion, what I think, my perspective. If I say, hey, could we have a clarifying conversation?
I'm still going to have hard conversations.
You can have hard conversations. I'm going to do clarifying conversations.
Deal.
I think another mistake that managers make is they don't tell a good story.
Yeah, you know what? That's very true.
They don't tell a good story on the purpose and the why of what we're doing. They create widgets. What's the value in creating widgets? Why am I going to give my life to create a widget?
Right, but if I'm changing people's lives,
right? But if this widget is an integral piece in the component of a refrigerator that goes into, and we have a company that gets our widgets and puts them in their refrigerators, what are we doing? We are allowing millions of people to be able to have a better life because they've got this refrigerator that takes their produce and it takes their food and it keeps it fresh for their families and it makes their lives lives easier. We're not just creating this widget because it's a chunk of metal and a computer chip or something. It's like we're making people's lives better.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, who is that client that they were talking about? I don't do this. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm sorry.
We have a client, and I can't remember the situation, but their whole communication, their whole conversation, and it might have been in the green industry. It's like we don't cut grass. We make beautiful spaces for people to really enjoy and relax. And it's like we don't just cut grass because it's getting too long. We are creating atmospheres in beautiful places.
Well, and I think the key thing with really getting people on board loyalty is that you have to paint a picture.
Yes.
Right. You have to paint an emotional picture of why, right? Now it's just not a one sentence statement. Listen, it's not even a slogan. Like we think we create a slogan and then we think we've created a picture,
right?
And it's really this word picture that you create with emotion that bonds people to the mission, and they're bonded to you. And so good stuff. Yeah, great idea. And then also, I think another mistake is just assuming people understand. We kind of already covered that a little bit.
Wow.
Right? Is just assuming they understand me. Not that I didn't listen, but also I assume you understood.
Mm-hmm. Because,
I said it.
I say green and you see brown, but that's a whole different story. We talk about it later. But, we'll say green and it's like, okay, is it dark green? Is it forest green? Is it light green? Is it teal green? Is it what kind of green?
Or is it brown?
And if you're matching it up with, Christmas, and you're saying, okay, we need green for Christmas, don't come to me with teal. Teal is not the appropriate color.
Is leprechaun green the appropriate color? It's a little lighter green, isn't it?
That's more for,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Different.
Yeah, different. But don't assume people understand. So, you say, okay, I need you to go get red and green, whatever. And so, they come back with teal, which is green. Okay, don't assume they understand. And I mean, that's really simplistic when you're talking Christmas. I mean, everybody knows the appropriate red and green. But that's a really good, it's not checking for understanding, because otherwise you could be misaligned. Mm-hmm. And then you put all of this effort into a project, into a situation, into a marketing, strategy. And it ends up being wasted time because we just didn't clarify. Because, I go to you and I say, hey, I need this, 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 and this. Well, then your response would be, okay, if I understand it right, you need me to go find a company that can provide us with this, and it needs to be within this budget and this price range because we want this result.
Yeah. And so as a manager, one thing you can do is, hey, tell me what you just heard.
Yeah.
Right. Because I even see this sometimes, Lisa, as we're communicating, like I'm reading that body language, I'm watching their face, and I can tell like we're missing something, right? And so I just say, hey, well, tell me what you just heard. Or they start to get defensive, right? I come in to have a very open conversation to talk about, different objectives and maybe where we missed it. And I have like no malice, no anger, no, it's like, hey, let's have a great creative conversation. And they immediately go defensive, right? I want to know, hey, what just happened here? Mm-hmm. Right. I've read that. And so you just can't assume they understand.
Okay. And I'm just going to tweak on that. Tell me what you just heard. That's a directive. That's a direct, authoritarian statement. Tell me what you just heard.
Yeah, I didn't quite mean it that way.
And so that can put the other person as one down.
Yep.
Typically when we are doing understanding conversations, we want to be equal. We can't be one up or one down. But instead, if you say, so what did you hear me say? Then I'm asking a question to you and I'm inviting you into the conversation.
Love it.
Not tell me what you just heard.
Tell me what you just heard, Lisa.
Yes.
Didn't feel good, does it?
No.
It didn't even feel good delivering it yet. Like,
wow.
I don't want to be one up on you, right? Because I just kind of felt, because I don't want to be and I think that's the key thing, right? If people feel like you're trying to one up them or be top, you're the manager, right? But the way to really build like this great sense of loyalty is that you serve it out of people. It's like you serve them. And when I say serve them, sometimes serving them means like, hey, I need to serve you by having a clarifying conversation.
Yeah.
Right? This is a way for me to serve you, right? It might hurt. Hey, I'm going to say this and it could hurt your feelings, but it's not going to harm you. I will never, ever harm you. But boy, it might hurt.
It might feel like harm.
Right. And so,
but it's not intended to.
Yeah. So right. And we're really talking about this loyalty because Lisa, I think about the people that I am loyal to. They always had clarifying conversations with me when things didn't right. And they always had conversations that I walked away a little bit hurt at times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like going through that hurt bonded me even more to them, created even more of a sense of loyalty to them because I knew they cared enough about me to confront whatever was going on.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that brings me to another mistake that sometimes managers make. And that's really sitting in what we call communication anxiety. And communication anxiety is thinking, oh my gosh, I just don't know how to communicate this. I don't know. What I say is going to have a significant impact. And I don't think I can say it in a way. I can't have these conversations and do a good job. And really what you do with that is you practice it. And you even address it and you're like, hey,
you're open about it.
I need to have this conversation and I'm kind of feeling not sure how to have it because I want to communicate in a way that you feel valued. And so if you can just help me communicate this and, we can kind of walk through, on paper, you're not hitting your sales goals. And, I know paper doesn't always show actually what's happening in real life because there's all of these things in the works to be able to hit the sales goal. Yeah. But being able to sit down and just practice clear and consistent communication. Sometimes we hide between overuse of words. Sometimes we hide behind too much language. And so being able to practice it and kind of pare it down and even role play, you've got to have a tough conversation. Find someone, your spouse, another team member, and say, I have to have a tough conversation. This is how I'm thinking about addressing it and throw it past someone else. Well, you could also sit down and you could just record yourself having the conversation with a video recorder. And then you turn around and you look at it and be like, oh yeah, I've got my chin up, which is a dominance posture. And it's like, oh yeah, I look like I'm ready for a fight. And so just some of these little tricks and throwing it off around someone else because what we say isn't always what they hear. And what we mean to say, we don't actually always get that out.
Well, Lisa, and it's why we have Leadership 101 because we actually give you scripts to work through, and then you get to practice them and get feedback from the groups. It's a group coaching model that really provides the support that new managers are really lacking for these kind of, communication anxiety, which is real. The last one I want to just really touch really quick is this idea of imposter syndrome. A lot of self-doubt.
We really cover this imposter syndrome in Leadership 101.
Yeah, but I want to just kind of address it right now and maybe give you a couple of quick hacks, right? Is, first of all, I really recognize it's something on the inside of you. And here's sort of the key question. Here's the hack, right? Is a lot of times when you have this imposter syndrome, you don't feel like you belong in the room.
Yeah.
You're in this room and you're like, I don't even belong here. I don't have the tools, right? But who's the only person that can determine if you're supposed to be in the room?
Your boss.
Right. It's the one who invited you into the room.
Right.
So I get it. You don't feel, but you do belong because they thought you belonged. Right. So if they thought you belong, you belong. And just a little bit to settle that issue, right? I know you don't have all the skills. I know you don't have all the tools, and you're not supposed to. Tools continue to grow. Situations grow, right? You're always learning, but you belong in the room, and just sort of settle that because you were invited into the room.
Right.
And so really stepping in with that confidence that you belong. And then we do address it a lot in Leadership 101, but I wanted just to kind of cover it real quick here with you and give you that quick hack so that you have that tool. Lisa, it's been great. What's bubbling up for you?
There are so many things to overcome when you step into a leadership role. And so whether you're stepping into a leadership role or you are preparing to put someone in a leadership role, really thinking, okay, this is a new set of skills that I need to brush up on. And I don't even know what I don't know at this point. I don't even know where I'm strong and weak. And I better figure it out quickly because my success and our team's success and our company's success, my family's success, our charitable organization's success depends on me being able to perform this new set of skills well.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can totally do it. You can completely do it. You've got what it takes. It's just learning a couple tips, a couple tricks, and knowing that someone's in your corner believing in you and that you do have a seat at the table and you belong there because you were asked to step in that position.
I think for me, what kind of bubbled up, and I'm learning to listen a little bit better. And so it's this idea of rephrasing back, hey, what I heard you say, and not saying you said, but what, which is really accusatory. Mm-hmm. But instead of going, hey, what I heard you say, because you might not even have said it. But if I say, hey, what you said was, that's an attack, and you're just immediately going to go to defensive, right? If I'm your manager, back defensive to me, but this idea of, hey, what I heard you say was this, and really seek to understand before I ever give directives, because I'm great at directives. I mean, I'm great at advice. I'm great at telling people, what to do, but sometimes I don't listen as well. And getting a lot better. So we'll have some show in the bottom. You have the link. If you're interested in Leadership 101, it's a resource for you. It's a group coaching program. Starts every month. Every month is a new class. So just jump in.
And we deal with different topics every month.
And all the information will be there. But this has been fun. And we'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.